What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see, when the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
Hello, folks. How are you today? I'm your host, BKP. It is February 11th. February 11th already. I'm your host, BKP. It's time for BKP Politics, Voice of Rural America. Another little nugget of truth. You know, last night, I'm running a little late today. I'm sorry because one, as my mom would call it, I laid out all night. I'm going to tell you, I got home at 1 a.m. Yes, I did. 1 a.m. I went over to Whitfield County Republican Party meeting last night in Dalton. Colton Moore was speaking. It was a full house. And afterwards, a couple patriots, we'll leave it at that, said, hey, let's go get something to eat. And we went over to a restaurant. We got something to eat. And we just had a great time. We really did. We had a good time. With these patriots. It was so much fun. No drinking, no adult beverages, as Rush would say. No, we did not. A lot of cheese fries and wings, but no adult beverages. We were just having a good time, and it was great. And the guy comes over and he says, you know, I have to tell you folks, we closed 20 minutes ago. We closed 20 minutes ago. And the only thing between me leaving is you leaving. It was really nice. And we're like, oh, okay. So, yes, that's one. I didn't drag in. You know all those things Grandma used to say, you come dragging in. I know what time you came dragging in last night. Laid out half the night, right? You know, when you come in that time of the morning, I'm going to get the show going. You get the dog inspection. So I come in the door and I got the dog inspection. If you don't know what that is, we'll get into it on another day. And then this morning, I'm running a little late because this morning, so many things are developing and my phone is ringing off the hook. Hey, I got a tip. Hey, this is going on. I'm getting emails, text messages. Wow. And I got some messages. I'm going to answer those. So yesterday I put up a segment. And I said, Republicans are down under the gold dome making deals with Democrats. Backroom deals with Democrats under the Georgia Atlanta State Capitol Gold Dome, making deals with Democrats. And email after email after email. What kind of deals are they making? What kind of deals are they making? You can't just say that. All right. So stay with me today. We got about an hour program. Stay with me today. I will answer your questions, all the emails I got yesterday concerning that. Now, as we start, I always want to remind you, and I say this because it's going to be very important soon, and it's very important right now. Don't forget, Donald Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. Now, yesterday on the program, I said to you, you know, yesterday on the program, I said to you, we have to stop having selective acceptance. We have to. We're going to have to, from this point on, we're getting into 2026. Republicans may lose the House, could lose the Senate. Republicans lose the House on day one. They will start the impeachment trial of Donald Trump. List goes on. Republicans and the demagnification has been going on for 6 months now. Republicans are shifting to what they call a post-Trump world, whether they want to tell you this or not. The Trump endorsement does not have the power. It doesn't have the effect. It just doesn't. You're going to hear, now wait a minute, stay with me. You're going to hear in the near future whispers or leaks where Republicans in some districts are asking Trump not to endorse. Now, wait a minute, don't yell at me. Or asking Trump to stay out of the race. This is all coming. And I'll tell you one of the reasons it's upsetting, because this right here, remember, Clay Fuller in the 14th district with 22 candidates has been endorsed by Donald Trump, an attorney, a district attorney. Don't we have enough attorneys in Washington, D.C.? I went over last night to the 14th district. I'm not endorsing Colton Moore. There's a lot of great candidates in the race, but Donald Trump has endorsed a complete swamp creature. Complete swamp creature. And as we get closer, and I plan to remind people on a daily basis, we have to stop with the selective acceptance, right? Donald Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. All right, now, starting our program, really getting into it, the RNC and the GOP, Georgia GOP, the Georgia GOP sold out to the RNC. So let's go briefly here. Don't forget, this is the albino rhino. Do you know the albino rhino? Well, the reason I bring up the albino rhino, that is Brant Frost V, the son of Brant Frost IV, the Frost family, First Liberty Building and Loan, $140 million Ponzi scheme, took advantage of senior citizens in the millions of dollars, life savings, retirement savings, and yet the Georgia GOP, Inc., controlled by the RNC, shadowed by Josh Mckoon, I'll explain, will not distance themselves from the Frost family. This is a story we're working on. We're going to bring you some updates soon. We don't want you to forget that right now we have a special election down in, I think it's State Senate District to replace John Kennedy, the Chamber of Commerce darling in the lieutenant governor's race. Yes, we'll show you that in a minute. We show you everything here. Yes, boom, full disclosure. Keep your shirt on, baby. So vote Steve McNeil, Republican, in the runoff down there. Early voting started on 2/7 and 2/9, but election day is February 17th. Democrats think they have a chance with all these jungle primaries that we've left open. Here's another really quick reminder as we go. And Republicans get upset with me. I did not make this chart. Nothing, had nothing to do with it. It's there. You can look for it. Anyone can look for it. It's called facts. I'm a Republican. I want Republicans to win in 2026. But As you can see, Georgia party control. In 2005, Georgia Republicans gained control of the governor's mansion, the state house, and the state senate. 2005. 21 years in the making. 21 years. Every single political stunt they are trying in Atlanta now, they've had 21 years. Every time I turn around, Greg the Weasel Dolezal is on some media outlet claiming he's going to do these amazing things, whether it's tax credits, whether it's election integrity, paper ballots, you name it, he's all over the place, that I'm thinking he must be Rip Van Dolezal. Rip Van Dolezal, has he been asleep? Did he just wake up? Does he not realize that everything he wants to claw back, repair, and fix, they've had control of since 2005? Just saying. So we're going to go into that a little further today. Now, Rick Jackson jumps into the race, the businessman over in Alpharetta, billionaire, Jackson Healthcare, and he has totally upset the political Republican Georgia political machine. Totally, from top to bottom. Social media, Facebook, freaking out. Yes, spazzing out. I will say this, and people are going to get upset with me, but I look at every single thing. And I'm going to tell you that in the normal course of a campaign, at this time is not when panic sets in. One more time. It is unusual for panic to set in a campaign, especially for Burt Jones at this time. But they are in panic. I shared with you that I shared with the Burt Jones campaign 6 months ago. Don't get caught off guard. The base is looking for someone else. Now, Rick Jackson jumps in. I'm not going to tell you this is the most accurate poll in the world. Not going to do that. Okay? Not going to say this is fact, but in just 1 week, little over, this interactive poll. Now, the reason I put this up, people say, well, you just put a poll up and it's not scientific, and why would you do that? And you may be misleading people by this poll. Let me say this to you. Other candidates that their names are listed on this poll have posted this same kind of poll in the past. It wasn't long ago, young man, nice young man, Cooper Jacks, right, put out this Facebook this young man, Cooper Jacks, has been in politics, I don't know, since he's 14 years old. He's a nice young man. I say that, he's a nice young man, right? And he put out this very unscientific poll not long ago where there was, you could vote from the same IP address 6 times. It didn't matter where you lived. You could vote from Arizona, New York, Michigan. And he published his poll for governor, which showed Burt Jones with this enormous lead. And the next thing we know, Burt Jones, don't forget it. For those that are yelling, why would you do this? Don't forget, Burt Jones posted that poll. And who posted the poll? Donald Trump posted Cooper Jack's poll. So, just like that, in a week, Georgia Governor GOP primary, Rick Jackson 24, Burt Jones 16, Brad Raffensperger 9. Now, the AJC has a poll today that shows 22 for Jones and 16 for Rick Jackson. This one has Rick Jackson in the lead. Here is what I know. Just like that, the Georgia Republican machine is crumbling. And it's a big word, they are in panic right now. Panic. And I'm going to show you. So, this did not happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight. It was in the works. Georgia RNC members clear the way for National Party support of Burt Jones. Now, I'm going to explain this thoroughly in detail. Burt Jones, we're going to lay this all out. It was supposed to be easy. Burt Jones, Trump endorsement, check. Plenty of money from family members, maybe dad, I don't know, check, right? Couple political stunts, taxes, check. And then have the RNC and what's that guy's name? Josh Mckoon have everything laid out that Turning Point USA, Charlie's kids, the Children's, right? Turning Point USA, Josh Mckoon, the RNC. Now, Burt had everything checked off. He didn't have Rick Jackson on his bingo card. Because this was supposed to be smooth sailing. And I'm going to explain this in detail. Brad Raffensperger cannot get the vote from the base. Therefore, Burt seemed to be a lock of getting on the primary ballot to go into November against the Democrat. Chris Carr, can't do it. Lock. Clark Dean, who? Lock. Right? Now, so the Georgia Republican Party is pretty much broke. It is. Pretty much broke. I think the last report they had $67,000 in the bank. So I get a phone call. And I'm going to show you, these are the reasons why you watch the program, because I have just the facts, ma'am. I get a phone call. Hey, Georgia GOP's got $67,000 in the bank. They're broke. And I said, no, slow down. What do you mean? They're broke. I said, whoa, wait a minute. Here's what's about to happen. I said, one, qualifying's coming up. And when qualifying comes up, the Georgia GOP Inc., they get a pretty good bump in qualifying fees. They can put enough money in the bank to pay the light bill for a couple months, and it's a little bit that comes in, okay? Get a nice bump. I said, second, the RNC's getting ready to take over. What do you mean by that? I said, the RNC is going to dump money in. Now, I don't know why, but they're going to bring their team in. You see, Josh did not run the Georgia GOP during the Trump campaign. Josh Mckoon did not. He stepped aside. They came in. Trump forced 47 or whatever. Josh did not run the Georgia GOP. The Georgia GOP has been sold out for parts a long time ago. And Josh Mckoon knows that. And he's a willing participant. Yes, he's a willing participant. It seems to be a benefit to him. We will leave the word financial off because we don't know all those details. We don't. But it seems to be a benefit to Josh to get out of the way of the Georgia GOP, sell it for parts. And that's basically what it is, ballot access and parts now. So someone come in and ran it then. There was a little lull, no need to run it, no need to have an executive director, nothing to see here. All of the losses or the tight races that were happening, the 2 PSC, Public Service Commission, we'll throw those away. We'll call those a one-off election. No big deal. We don't need the power of the RNC yet. So I told somebody, I said, RNC's coming in, maybe John Ossoff's race, the Senate. They'll pour money in. Money's going to come in. And the Georgia GOP is going to be used as a vehicle to do it. Well, the rule in the RNC is not to get involved in an election in your state until the voters choose their candidate for the general election. Then they come in, they bring teams in, they bring money, whatever. But not in Georgia's case. Josh Mckoon sold off, okay? He sold off the Georgia State Republican Party to the RNC. And someone will say, why do you use the word sold off? Because you will see what happens in the bank account here very soon. Now, my opinion, and this is very clear because I'm going to show you the document. It's called Rule 11 in the RNC. But the Georgia GOP needs that cash infusion. And probably, you'll never know this to be true, but probably there was a conversation somewhere that said, hey, if you want us to pour money in, and you need us to pour money in to your GOP to go after these races for your friend Burt Jones, we'll get there in just a minute, we have to have control of the money. You have to give us the green light. We have to run the place. Josh Mckoon, no problem. Come on in. I'm serious, right? So, RNC says, hey, we'll come in, all right? But Georgia Republicans allow the RNC to break party neutrality to support Burt Jones. Top state Republicans in Georgia have quietly opened the door for the Republican National Committee to support Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones in state hotly contested primary for governor. Yes, this was always a plan. You have to remember that. This was always a plan. Josh was picked as GOP chair from David Schaefer to Josh, and Josh was set up there and reelected for days like this. It's always been set up. I'm going to show you this. Always. All right? And the machine, all the deals that were made, I say this all the time and I won't belabor it or get in any. There is a reason. If you have yet to understand the reason to remove me from a state level position with the Georgia GOP, hey, this has always been the plan. I could not be in the way Period. So, a deal has been made. Keep in mind, let's go here really quickly. Georgia's 3 RNC members. 3. Now, I want to break this down. I don't want to take too much time, but I really want to give you, because I got a phone call yesterday, said, how does this work? Every state is chartered to the RNC, okay? And when you are chartered to the Republican National Committee, you have 3 votes. Your chairman has a vote, and then you have your state RNC committee woman, national committee woman, that's Amy Kremer, and then you have your state national committee man, and that's Jason Thompson. So to end the neutrality, now normally Chris Carr, Brad Raffensperger, Clark Dean, Richard, Rick Jackson, Burt Jones, normally it's supposed to be neutral and no one's supposed to get involved in the primary. But long ago, the deal was in place to get rid of all of that and let 3 people for the entire Georgia Republican Party decide to get rid of the Rule 11, right? Get rid of the Rule 11 and just give our party to the RNC. That's what happened, no matter what anybody says to you, right? So Georgia's 3 RNC members signed a letter late last year and early this year waiving the party rule that bars the RNC from intervening in contested primaries. According to the 3 people familiar with the agreement, that move allowed the National Party to provide financial and operating support to Jones and coordinate with him ahead of the main primary. Now, this had to be in place. Again, they're going to tell you, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. This had to be in place before the RNC put an executive director in our GOP, right? This all had to be in place, because I'll show you that also. It's unclear whether the RNC will move to support Jones in this crowded primary now that it's been cleared to do so. But it was the RNC that first reached out to Georgia party leaders about waiving the rule, according to a person familiar. A sign the National Party has at least considered getting off the sidelines. Now, this is where we get into Josh Mckoon. Oh, we show you everything today. This is where we get into Josh Mckoon. Now, Josh Mckoon is the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. Now, we had a rigged election. One more time. We had a rigged election. Oh, no, you're thinking about the 2020 presidential election? No. Our Republican Party state convention election for chairman was rigged. Oh, it had a lot of Frost in it. I mean, Brant Frost, Katie Frost. Just, list goes on. But everything was rigged. In fact, David Cross, the opponent to Josh Mckoon, if 30% was accurate, they say he got 30% of the vote, it's amazing he did. I mean, just that number alone is absolutely amazing and monstrous because Trump endorsed Mckoon. Burt Jones endorsed McKoon. Congressional members endorsed McKoon. Marjorie Taylor Greene endorsed McKoon. Mike Johnson endorsed McKoon. They all rushed in. The fear was always, if Josh doesn't get elected, and David Cross is chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, and BKP and David Cross, they're pretty close. They could upend our behind closed doors master plan. Why, boss, they can find out our plan. All the deals we made. All the plans. And they could actually return the Georgia Republican Party to the people across the state. We must stop this. Oh, that would be Josh Mckoon. Moving right along. Josh Mckoon, the chair of the Georgia Republican Party. Josh actually makes a quote I agree with. I absolutely agree with this. Josh Mckoon, the chair of the Georgia Republican Party, said he signed the letter waiving the RNC's neutrality rule because Jones has Trump's endorsement. Would that be the same president of the United States that has endorsed Lindsey Graham, Clay Fuller? Would that be the same president of the United States that endorsed the Texas state Republican Senate candidate that lost in a 17-point flip to a Democrat? But Josh said, hey, Trump endorsed him. Now, let's see if this is the next one here. Josh Mckoon, the chair of the Georgia Republican Party, said he signed the letter waiving the RNC's neutrality rule because Jones has Trump's endorsement. Here is the quote. It was a no-brainer for me to sign the letter, Mckoon told Politico. I finally agree with that. It was a no-brainer. Josh is not required to use any brain cells whatsoever to operate as the chair of the Georgia GOP. Josh just has to stand over here or stand over there. That's it. That's it. It was a no-brainer. From my perspective, Mckoon goes on to say, from my perspective, I was going to remove any barriers to working with the RNC, translation barriers, to receiving money from whomever, working with the RNC from a candidate that the president has clearly signaled that the president has clearly signaled as the candidate he wants to be the next governor. Well, I support Donald J. Trump. He is my president of the United States, but he doesn't get to decide who he wants to be my next governor of Georgia. Sorry, let me take a coffee break on that one. He doesn't get to do it. Period. So, Jones has long been a vocal supporter of Trump. Now, let's see what we have here. Now, Amy Kremer was the only one that I could find that actually posted the letter she signed. But this is an example of the 3 people in Georgia that signed to agree to end the neutrality rule and let the RNC take over. Pre-primary RNC support letter language, rule number 11. December 10th, 2025. Everything was in place to plan. Dear Chairman Gruters, in accordance with Rule 11 of the rules of the Republican Party, we, the undersigned members of the Republican National Committee, RNC, of the state of Georgia, hereby approve any and all primary financial assistance. Boom! Boom! I have told you this for God knows how long. Hey, Dad, please send money. Financial assistance. They only showed 67 grand or something in the bank. Remember, don't forget, the corruption runs deep and wide. It's enormous. And don't forget, Josh Mckoon ran to be our chairman based on his contacts, his fundraising ability. Remember, one of the reasons to get rid of my ass was what? I would be a hindrance in fundraising. Get me out of the way and why they could just start raking the cash in. Let me see if I can get past that again. Any and all preliminary financial assistance and in-kind aid, the RNC sending people, right? Sending people aid, the RNC may choose to provide in furtherance the Georgia governor candidacy of Burt Jones. It's always been the plan. Now, Amy had the courage to put hers up. I don't agree with Amy. Amy knows that. I taught behind nobody's back. I went right to her and said, I call BS. All right? I'm not mad. I just do. So there you go. Now, how did this happen? What do you mean it's always been the plan? So, here you go. Now, this right here is just a symbol picture, as I have it. This is number 11 on the screen. That would be the Georgia Republican Party convention, and that would be Josh, and that would be Burt Jones. You see, Burt Jones endorsed Josh. Burt Jones, it seems like some moves were made well in advance. Everything was put in place, right? So this is a while ago. Now, so let's get back. I'm getting ready to show you something. The Georgia Republican Party had a lapse. I think his name was Justin Rice. He was sent here as the executive director. By the way, it seems to be, and I don't feel this way, but it seems to be that no one thinks that we have someone in Georgia, lives in Georgia, works in Georgia, has kids, grandkids, whatever in Georgia, has the ability to be the executive director of the Georgia Republican Party. We always wait for Michael Whatley, chair of the RNC, to send us our executive director. That was Justin Rice, was that his name? Through the election of President Trump. Now he moved on. So we had a little gap. We didn't exactly need an executive director, I guess. So did we bring in a good old Georgia boy or a Georgia peach or a nice Georgia young lady or an older lady? Easy. Let's not get all worked up. Did we? No. Why, the RNC, once we signed the letter, keep this in mind, once we signed the letter and we gave them a little bit of control, basically sold the place out, they sent us a new executive director. Why not? I mean, they made an investment, or soon to be. And the Georgia Republican Party executive director is Caleb Conaway. Well, he looks like a nice young man. He may be a nice young man. I know this. I think he comes from Washington, D.C. I think his last job was with the National Chamber of Commerce. But the RNC, no matter what they tell you, they sent him in here. Now let's continue with the plan. It's always been a plan. Now, when Josh Mckoon ran the first time for Georgia Republican Party chair, now in party elections, you're not required to report any spending. You're not required to report campaign spending or campaign contributions or show a campaign account. Period. It can come from in-state, out-of-state, wherever. Now, when the campaign was over, this was November 13th. Now, this is not recent. This is after Josh Mckoon wins his first GOP chair election. Trust me, this is before the 2024, but the plan is in place. You're invited to a dinner to support Josh Mckoon for Georgia with special guest, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones at House Steakhouse. Seated at a table with Burt Jones is $5,000. So they're getting Josh a little money. I call it thank you money. I call it let's get the plan in place money. That's what I call it. But this has always been the plan. Always. Now, so Burt Jones has a kickoff event in August. You can't make this up. Burt Jones has a kickoff event in August of this past year, right? And that is Josh. You see, at this time, the kickoff event, we don't have a letter signed with the RNC. We have not thrown out the neutrality of our party rules in a primary. But Josh gets up there I was there. I was at this event. I was right there. Josh gets up at this Burt Jones event with a long list of speakers. He never says, quote, I endorse Burt Jones for governor. But Josh did not speak. He hasn't spoke recently at any Brad Raffensperger events, Chris Carr events, Clark Dean events. I don't think he introduced Rick Jackson the other day. But here, he gets up and he gives a stirring speech at this Burt Jones kickoff in Jackson, Butts County, keep that in mind. And sounded like an endorsement. Did not have the word, but sounded like an endorsement of Burt Jones. Always been the plan. And guess who else was there? Why, my God, it was the Weasel, Greg Dolezal. Now, at this time, Greg the Weasel Dolezal, Rip Van Dolezal, that just woke up and realized all this stuff's going on, okay? He had not announced he was running for lieutenant governor at this time, but he is down there at the Burt Jones kickoff too, endorsing Burt. Here is a big room picture of Josh. That's Josh back there. That's a big room full that Josh is speaking to. Here's another one. It's another big shot across the room Josh is speaking to. And then we have this right here. The AJC, Burt Jones kickoff for governor is 2020 Rebels Revenge. And there's the 2020 Rebels Revenge. There's the Greg Dolezal. We always like to remind you when we bring up Greg the Weasel, we never want to leave his friend out, Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts. We always like to get that one in there just for good measure. Now, it's always been the plan, and it's a political stunt, okay? Political stunt. And let's see, who is this? Well, I'll be. Now, at the kickoff for Burt Jones is Sally Grubbs, first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party. Now, as I told you, long ago, I let the Jones campaign know that the base was looking for an alternative. They are. And they were. And maybe Rick Jackson is that alternative. Because he explodes. Everything I'm bringing up went boom. We'll get into that in just a minute. So, Burt Jones here, Sally Grubbs. This is the kickoff. This is in August. This picture was taken in August. That happens to be Brad Barnes. We have coined him the Blueberry, but there's Burt and Sally. Now, Burt was losing traction with the base. And he needed to throw a Hail Mary. This is before panic button. But he needed to throw a Hail Mary and bring the base closer to him. So he appoints Burt Jones, the lieutenant governor of Georgia, appoints Sally Grubbs to the state election board. Your first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party should be all across the state helping Republicans get elected, not on the state election board. We have a lot of great patriots that could have been on there. But Burt needed Sally to carry his water because she does. Now, I'm going to say this. I do not have a document. I do not have an email. I do not have anything, so I'm very transparent with you. But I feel strongly the panic button is not just Burt. It's Sally. It's Josh. It's others, because I think the political machine, if Burt takes office as governor, I think you'll see a lot of maybe nice jobs come from it. Just saying. I've seen it happen. Right? See Marco Rubio become Secretary of State, blah, blah, blah. Kelly Loeffler, blah, blah, blah. So it happens. Don't say it doesn't. So I think the panic here with Rick Jackson getting in the race is, wait a minute. I thought I was going to have this job. Boom. Now, while I'm saying that, I don't know. But I will say this. Josh Mckoon is the head of the vocational technical college system in Georgia, the legal council. He makes over $200,000 a year. It's an appointed job by the governor. Makes over $200,000 a year, salary and benefits. And if Burt Jones is not governor of Georgia, and if a Democrat becomes governor of Georgia, you very well could see Josh Mckoon get fired the next day from the Democrat governor of Georgia. Just saying. So this is part of the plan, the sellout. Now, here you go. We always want to remind you, they're actually running together. The Weasel and Burt Jones. That'd be great. I gotta quit calling him the Weasel. I mean, he may be a nice guy, and I mean, you never know. But Dolezal and Jones are actually running together. And I hear down at the Capitol, because a lot of people are talking, that these two are working out on a daily basis. Well, I'm gonna say maybe next move, whatever. Now, what's this got to do with the price of tea in Biloxi, Mississippi? I don't know. I don't like when they say price of tea in China. Why should we say that? But let's go here. It has always been the plan. We're just going to show you a couple things in the political machine. Now, this is Butts County Chamber of Commerce. Jackson County. Now, if you look at the J, you may not be able to see it at home, but if you look at the J, I think in that picture is not pictured here. Meet the staff. President and CEO of Butts County, which is Jackson, where Burt Jones lives. Josh Mckoon, his friend. Jacqueline got the job a while back, about a year ago, we'll say a year ago, because it's always been the plan. She is the chair of the Butts County Chamber of Commerce. You know, that Chamber of Commerce in Butts County with new hospitals being built and data centers and just a lot of money moving. I mean, I'm just saying a lot of commerce. So she's president of the Chamber of Commerce. Everything's in the plan. Now, as I show you, if you go to the member directory, we'll go here really quick just to tie some things together. And you click on Business and Professional Services. Okay? Click on Business and Professional Services. You will get Rosetta Stone Communications out of Atlanta. Rosetta Stone Communications, just saying. And if you click on their website, you'll get Rosetta Stone Communications, hardworking campaign combined with technological delivers a winning edge. Interesting. They found their way to Butts County. They joined the Butts County Chamber of Commerce. And why would Rosetta Stone go to Chamber of Commerce in Butts County, little old Butts County, and join with Jacqueline McKoon being the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Jacqueline McKoon being friends or married to Josh Mckoon, very close to Burt Jones, Burt Jones' sister, very close to Jacqueline McKoon. I wonder if there was like this long, I wonder if this plan's been in place for quite some time. I wonder if they had a cookout or two, you know, a little cookout, outside fire pit. 28 right here. I got it here. Do I have it? Yes. Rosetta Stone Communications was founded, blah, blah, blah. They've worked for state representatives, state senators, candidates, statewide candidates. Okay. Then we got another one here. Rosetta Stone, again, campaign consulting, polling, special projects. Okay. And then you go here and who is Rosetta Stone? I mean, they may just be a business that is a member of the Butts County Chamber of Commerce. Then you have John Garst. John Garst, Rosetta Stone Communications. And I've been told that he is a former Dominion lobbyist. I was told he was a former Dominion lobbyist. And then we go here. Run through it quickly. John Garst, East Cobb City Hood lobbyist, is, you know, here he is, just a little feedback. John Garst registered on Monday as a lobbyist for East Cobb Group. Rosetta, he runs Rosetta Stone Communication. Okay, all right. I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, big deal. I mean, he has a communications company, political. He's a member of Butts County. But then you go to the convention. Remember that convention where Donald Trump was nominated, right? And there's Josh Mckoon, Alex Kaufman, and the guy in the polo shirt next to Josh. I heard that's John Garst, former Dominion lobbyist. And then when Josh has a free minute, John Garst and Josh Mckoon like to sing some karaoke. What's wrong with that? You can't make this up. Now, moving right along, the plan has always been in place. They sold out the Georgia GOP to the RNC, the Republican ruling class power structure, glass ceiling, everything could be crumbling, and it could all be coming down. Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came down upon his head. Boom, boom. All right, so here's the Georgia governor candidates. Chris Carr, Clark Dean, Rick Jackson, Burt Jones, Brad Raffensperger, and Ken Yasgur. Okay, there's Rick Jackson, so let's keep this ball rolling. Now, he has upset the apple cart, right? Here is a mailer. He is spending the money. He's got Trump's picture on the front. And on the mailer, see, on social media, you keep hearing, well, he supported Nikki Haley. And he supported Jeff Duncan. And he supported Mitt Romney and Jeb Bush. So may I remind you of something? You see, I'm not going to put it on you. I'll take it on myself. When John McCain ran against, one more time. When John McCain, not a conservative, not a true Republican, right? Spent more times with Democrats, gave us the thumbs down on Obamacare. When John McCain ran for president against Barack Hussein Obama, I supported him. I said, vote John McCain. When Mitt Romney ran against Barack Obama in the second term, right, I said, support Mitt Romney. Support Mitt Romney, right? That's what I said. Vote for him. When Jeff Duncan ran in 2018 up against a Democrat at that time, I voted for him. Right? You voted for him. But on this flyer right there, you can't see it. Rick Jackson is Donald Trump's biggest supporter in Georgia, donating $1 million to his political efforts. Got it? He donated $1 million to Donald Trump. Just say it. Now, if you take amoxicillin in America, amoxicillin, odds are, probably 99%, that Rick Jackson, his company, manufactured the amoxicillin. After China threatened to cut off antibiotics to the U.S. during the trade talks with President Trump, I saved the last producing amoxicillin from bankruptcy and increased production to save American lives. So China made all of our antibiotics and said you can't have them anymore. Rick Jackson bought, all right, against the recommendations of his financial people, he purchased the last remaining amoxicillin producing factory in the United States. It was failing, bankrupt. Jackson Healthcare saves only U.S. antibiotic manufacturer of amoxicillin. Now, whether you like that, don't like that, it's out there. He's buying the ads. Now, I went to the AJC this morning. Yesterday, ads all over TV. I went to the AJC this morning, preparing for the show, reading some articles. Boom, AJC. Rick Jackson joined the team. Wow, okay. I went to read another article in the AJC. I know you don't like that, but I find out some things. Wait a minute. Again? Outsider businessman foster care to billionaire. He grew up in foster care. He's now a billionaire. Rick Jackson again. Man. Wow. Now, Rick Jackson said, and people will say, well, this is not very nice. Well, we'll just go for it. Rick Jackson said, what did he say? He said, in his opening, he said, we have a so-called front runner who is as lazy as the day is long. Now, that was Burt Jones he was referring to. So the Burt Jones campaign said, here's what we need to do. Boots on the ground, putting in the work. We need to get you out there. We need to get a hammer in your hand. You got to be putting up signs. We can't let this guy label you as lazy. Now, I'm not calling him lazy. I'm just saying this, when you're in politics, this, I know, is a response to Jackson. So let's go into a couple of the political stunts that are going on in Atlanta so I can answer some of the questions from yesterday. First of all, the guy in the center is Blake Tillery. Okay? And Blake Tillery, now I want you to listen to something here, and I want you to be clear, because I'm going to give you a little bit of fact here. He is the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. All right, one more time. Blake Tillery, the guy in the center, is the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. He's running for lieutenant governor. Now, he tells you that we can eliminate corporate tax breaks, enough of them to take the place of you and I having to pay Georgia income tax. That's what he says. Now, if on this hand, on Monday, he says, I'm going to get rid of Georgia income tax, and I show you how we're going to do it. We're going to eliminate the corporate tax breaks, like, you got Kia and you got Rivian and you got SK Battery. And I keep saying, I wonder if they've gone in and told Brian Kemp this yet. I wonder if Brian Kemp knows they're going to go after some of his largest economic development projects, right? And I wonder if they'll ever talk about the $2 billion in loss of the film industry. We'll talk about that on another day, right? They don't want to talk about that. Because the film industry was supposed to bring in X, right? We have a $2 billion loss in the film industry, and thousands of jobs left Georgia in the film industry. So you're going to replace our state income tax from you and I with cuts to these tax breaks of these corporations, but you don't tell us what happens if these corporations up and leave Georgia or shut down one day and they're not bringing in the revenue. Do you have to come back to us? Oh, I see through all their stuff. But the guy in the center says this. This got me with Burt Jones. Really got me. The Senate is introducing 2 income tax proposals to maximize relief for hardworking families. These measures are designed to strengthen the state income and position Georgia to fully eliminate the state income tax while maintaining, now listen to this, a conservative budget strategy. That's a WTF if I ever heard one. Wait till Friday. Well, that's what it means, right? Conservative. I'm the true conservative. I'm the conservative you can trust. But wait a minute. The budget went up 12%. Yes, forget about that. That doesn't mean I'm not conservative. Just because I spend and spend and spend. Okay. Now, here's where I'm going to answer your question, and I will get in more detail later because it's a developing story. But there's 2 major campaign stunts going on right now under the Gold Dome. Eliminating homestead property tax and eliminating state income tax. Both of those require a constitutional amendment to be voted on the ballot in November. Yes. And I will explain what happens and why they're down there. I think the Democrats are running the place. Now, moving right along. So, conservative budget, keep that in mind. Here's another one from Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Eliminating the state income tax at 5% is a 5% raise for Georgia families. Hold on. What is the state tax rate in Tennessee? Now, Tennessee has no income tax. All right. So let's see what AI tells us. All right, groceries is taxed at 4%. Personal income tax is 0. Gasoline 27.4. Property, professional privilege. I've got to go back. I've got to look this up because I want to make sure that I get it correct. So the state I'm pretty sure here, I don't want false facts. The state tax is 7. Now, if I'm correct here, the state tax is 7 on consumer tax. No, that's not your county. That's not your city. That would be a combined. I think the total, I will get it correct tomorrow. I think the total is like 11 cents. So, getting back to this, as they continue to give us this, what I call a political stunt. A political stunt. Proud to stand with leaders like Governor Norquist and tax reformers to stop new taxes and cut existing ones. The goal is 0. Let's get it done, Georgia. Okay. Constitutional amendment. Now, Republicans report more cash than Democrats in races for 2 top offices. So this is Blake Tillery. Let me remind you, this is the guy that is the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, meaning the budget. This is the guy going around telling you he will cut corporate tax breaks. He will end corporate tax breaks to bring revenue in so that we don't have to pay state income tax. Now, I'm going to tell you, I can't see it happening. All right? I can't see it happening. Now, before I wrap up, because it's time to wrap up, here is the takeaway. Blake Tillery, he led the field with $2.6 million in the bank. Kennedy was second. Now, John Kennedy is the Chamber of Commerce. Where's he getting his money? He is the Chamber of Commerce candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Steve Gooch comes in next. And Dolezal, Greg the Weasel, comes in fourth in fundraising, and David Clark last. But in the Republican side of the governor, Rick Jackson has dedicated $50 million. Lieutenant Governor loaned himself, Burt Jones, $10 million last year, but didn't add it to any of his own money. He closed the 7-month stretch with about $15 million in his leadership committee, including the loan plus another $4 million in another account. Notably, Jones' committee collected more than $500,000 from Fighting for Georgia, an Atlanta-based anti-tax group, about $240,000 from the Sports Betting Alliance. I wonder if Burt Jones or the Jones Oil Company has gas stations with those electronic poker machines in there. I wonder if they do. Just wondering, okay? About $240,000 from Sports Betting Alliance, and $80,000 check from former GOP gubernatorial and Senate contender Guy Milner. Secretary of State Raffensperger loaned himself $5 million. Another $860,000 came in for him, ending with $5.4. And Attorney General Chris Carr raised $1.4 million, boosting his balance to $3.1. So that is the two things I want to close with. Number one question I got: what kind of deal are the Democrats making? Why do you say Democrats are running the show? Once again, I told you yesterday, the two things that Republicans are campaigning on is cutting your state income tax and your homestead property tax to zero, right? Now, you don't know 100% how they're going to do it. You don't know. But we know this: it has to be a constitutional amendment. To place legislative referred constitutional amendment on the ballot in Georgia, the proposal must be approved by the 2/3 supermajority vote in both the State House of Representatives and the State Senate. Okay? A minimum of 120 votes in the House and 38 in the Senate is required. So right now, to put these constitutional amendment questions, tax-related questions, on the ballot for you, they have to, over in the House, I think, have to have 21 Democrats. Yeah. And you know what all those 21 Democrats have? They have their own bills. They have their own agendas. Yes, they do. And they're calling these Democrats in one at a time. What do we got to do to get your vote? Well, you know, in my district, in this bill here, we need to take this sentence out, add this one in. Okay. So they're in there right now. I think they have to have 8 senators. Yes. Democrat senators. So Burt Jones, right? John Burns, Speaker of the House. Now, first of all, you got to remember, the House has no love for the Senate because Burt Jones adjourned early last year, angering the House. Oh, there's no love. There's no love. There'll be no Valentine's Day. Nobody will be exchanging Valentines or sending anybody. They might send someone a Merlin Olsen pick-me-up bouquet. Did you catch that one? Boy, that was dated, was it not? Yes. Candygram, Mongo. Not going to happen. Now, moving right along. Democrats are saying, this is what I need. I need this. So they're trying to find the 21 Democrats that'll back this for the campaign stunt. Senate's trying to find their 8 Democrats that'll back it. They all want something. They all want something. They all got a little power. They need something back home, whatever it may be. Democrats have the juice right now. They do. They have it. Right? And that being said, remember this. Brandon Beach, which I don't care for Brandon Beach. I'm going to make it nice, okay? Brandon Beach took a soapbox derby bill. He cannot be trusted. Well, Donald Trump appointed him to a treasury or whatever. All right, one more time. Brandon Beach took a 3-page soapbox derby bill and turned it into a 70-some page gambling bill, trying to sneak it through for a lobbyist. So let me tell you this. As the session goes on, you must pay attention. You must read the bills. We must scour through them. Seriously. Watch for crossover. That's coming. I will get into the calendar tomorrow. Watch for crossover. But yes, I'm telling you right now, Democrats hold power like they haven't in 21 years. I don't like to do this one because it upsets me enormously. Seriously, it upsets me enormously. Every year when they come back in session, they did it in the middle of the night, folks. Yes. Every year when they come back in session, they have to do what's called a amended budget. They have to do an amendment budget to adjust for this, adjust for that, from the last year's budget. So the 2026 amended budget that Blake Tillery chairs the Appropriations Committee for the Senate, Georgia politicians, 12% spending increase, 12% spending increase. A supplemental budget, $4.5 billion jump. $4.5 billion jump. $300 million for needs-based dream scholarships, right? With DEI. Remember that? $300 million for dream scholarships. Now, the reason this budget is up 12% is they're trying to do everything Brian Kemp put on his wish list so he will put the red pen away and not veto what they bring him. Yes, so how you do that, you just spend more of your money. $430 million for the university system of Georgia. Don't have time. $50 million homeless grant program. This will go to NGOs, right? This will go, you talk about Somalians, you talk about Minnesota, you talk about corruption. We need to address homelessness. $50 million for homelessness grant programs, no accountability. $15 million for rural site development. $3 million for tourist marketing. $10 million to subsidize the Super Bowl. $611 million in flat bonuses for state employees. Not for performance, no, not performance standards, not for you and I. $611 million bonuses for state employees. Vote buying. Would they be vote buying? Let's see. $5 million for the 2026 hand recount. A 12%, $5.4 billion jump And I'm wondering how they can put these budgets together, right? How they can put these budgets together. And Burt Jones, Lieutenant Governor running for governor, can continue to put out tweets that say income tax while maintaining a conservative budget strategy. How do you put out the words conservative budget strategy? All right, folks, I'm your host, BKP. Don't forget, Donald Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. As you're looking at these endorsements in Georgia, I will be back tomorrow. I'll do another segment tomorrow. Don't forget that. Let's see here. Don't forget that. What am I? Substack, VORA, VORA. Don't forget our VORA, Substack on VORA, at BKP Politics. Voice of Rural America Twitter, Voice of Rural America Facebook, Voice of Rural America YouTube, Voice of Rural America Rumble channel. Don't forget that. Share it with your friends, okay? On our Substack, you do have an opportunity and others to donate. We have some other things coming up next week to donate, if you would, to keep some gas in the tank, whatever. Because I'm not in the budget. I didn't get part of that 12%, $4.5 billion. So, and they don't like what I do. They don't, and they is a big. So today's show, as you know, we covered the complete, what I call the complete collapse, the selling for parts, Georgia Republican Party to the RNC. For none other than Burt Jones for governor, and there's always been a plan, and they know it, and they know I know it, okay? The house of cards for the Georgia Republican dynasty, the empire, the machine is crumbling right before their eyes, and they're hitting the panic button. I'll see you tomorrow, all right? Text me. Send me messages, 706-889-9700. Send me messages, email me, ask questions, send tips, call me, whatever. Call me. I'll see you. Let's see. How does this work? Let me get this over with. We'll take that off. And we'll send this.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.